So I went to the MIT flea market again, and I found some more cool stuff. This is a panel mount meter. When I connect 120 volts on this side, it will show voltage and frequency. See if I get the line hertz, which I expect to be about 60 cycles, or if it's some other frequency. Also good if I want to run an alternator and see what kind of frequency I get out. I also got, this is for work, a laptop, a nice wireless mouse. This was only about $5, so that'll be handy for the laptop. Found some batteries, AA's and AAA's, and these have a really neat old feature where you can see the battery live by holding down on two contacts. Now watch that color bar. See how the color increases all the way up, and now watch those colors as I release. It goes down back to black. It's a very low density power indicator film. Must have to do with some current going in there in parallel with my skin and with this thin strip of film. So I know that these batteries are good. Only $2 for a pack of AA's and a pack of AAA's. Speaking of the AAA's, another really neat thing I found here was this winder. You see, this is a counter, and I just put two of those AA batteries in it. And all you do is you press this, and it winds, and it tells you how many revolutions you've made. So just that quickly we have over 100 revolutions. My original thought was to use this to wind a Tesla coil, but that speed would be a little too fast. What I think I'm probably going to do is just mount this on the other end of the coil and simply use it to count this way manually. Take the batteries out. The motor will act as a generator and just send to just null. And use this to keep track of how many turns. And after this goes completely all the way around, I will have reached 1,000 turns, which is about right for coil on average, give or take. Another thing this is great for is if you're out flying a kite and you got to reel your kite string back in. Well, you have your ball of kite string here, and you just make the core of the kite string so you can affix this to it. You just match those grooves, and you're reeling your kite down from the sky. And just like that, instead of having to wind it hand over hand for like 10 minutes, you get an automatic kite reel winder. I always wanted something like this as a kid, and now I got something. Also got a neat little relay, 6 or 12 volts. Now, you all remember that little ignition coil transformer that used those 6-volt lantern batteries, like this. So just a single 6-volt lantern battery will let me wire this to act as the relay oscillator once I wire this up properly. Oh, and I got a free resistor with it too. Cool. So that was only $5 for the relay. This was only $1 for a nice little rectifier. AC in, DC out. Speaking of AC, I get probably the most dangerous item that I purchased here was an AC test voltage, which has your 120 volt in, and on the other end of the wire is simply two little alligator clips. I don't think these are 15 amp rated, do you? So yeah, this is a something that I will want to be extremely careful using, because my idea is that if I ever build two Tesla coils, one on either side of a room, and and from across the room, let's say I have my transmitter here and I have my receiver over here, I'll be able to connect this up, plug this into a junction box, and then see if I can actually send enough power to run, I don't know, one of those little 8-watt LED light bulbs. I know it converts the 120 volts through some solid state technology in there. Or even just a neon lamp across those terminals. But yeah, this is not just to plug in the wall and then get a shock that could probably kill you. No. They want to be much safer than that. So this is in the safety as well as line voltage testing when you're checking out wall current. Speaking of plugging into the wall, this was a freebie. This is a battery charger for this EYO 225, and this is supposedly the battery for it. You can see why it was free. It doesn't fit in there. The battery inside's probably dead. But I think that once I get this in there and figure out what those terminals need, I could probably put a screwdriver bit in there and have a little power screwdriver. I don't know. With easy direction reversal here. You got high and low switches here. Feels good in the hand anyways. So yeah, that was free. Let's see, I got a bunch of... it could always use another IEC cable, so I'll throw that in my supply bin. It's only $1. And this is just simply, I might use this to, well, if I needed to be next thing I build that I want to plug into 120 volt AC, this can go into the terminals and receive power input. I got a bunch of nice little illuminated rocker switches, a whole variety of colors. I got a nice blue one here, the safety red one, yellow one, another red one, a nice green one for safety, green is good to go. Got a whole traffic light's worth. That was 6 for $5. That was a good deal there. Okay. I also got a whole bunch of heat shrink tubing for really big wire, which I actually have some. And then for middle gauge wire, probably like even as little as 16 up to 14 or 12 gauge there. And I got a tiny little strand of heat shrink for still down to, I don't know, 24, maybe even 32 gauge wire. It's just tiny little stuff there. So I got a bunch of heat shrink. That was all, I think, $3 or $4 for all that. And then wire. Oh boy, did I get wire. I got all this monster cable here. It's probably about 12 feet to this piece, and I got 2 great big lengths of it. Look at all this cable here, man. This is really nice monster cable. I got these 2 spools of it for like $10. I'm thinking flat spiral wound, let this be the primary, and have a very thin coil secondary on your old flat spiral pancake coil deal. I got some wooden discs, and that's going to be a project in itself one of these days. But yeah, you think I got enough wire? Yeah, not all of it had all of the ends, but that's okay. I'll probably be taking that end off anyways. But that's the end, just putting it to my own terminal. But look at that. That's all copper right there, man. Good stuff. Oh, let's see. Oh yes, I got a nice little heat sink for a MOSFET. One of these days it'll mount right to a circuit board. That was pretty cool. I got a 1 ohm resistor, which you don't often hear about, shy of your, here it is, yeah, 1 ohm 50 watt resistor, ohmite. And it says L50J1R0, if you care. Yeah, you don't often hear about a 1 ohm resistor except in your electronics, electrical engineering textbooks. So 1 volt is defined as the electromotive force needed to push 1 amp of current through 1 ohm of resistance. So this, you can pretty much divine 1 volt and 1 amp with this 1 ohm. So I guess at some point I might build something to just, you know, prove Ohm's law, because we just take it for granted so much. Speaking of resistors, I got a bunch of resistor mounting brackets that will go yay, and these are nice. They have screws so they can mount to the board, and that'll hold my larger resistors in place. Larger resistors such as oh, I got some here. I got some nice ones. Here we go. Here's a 600 ohm 200 watt resistor, and this will just slide right in just like that. Well, I want to get needing those pliers and get a good connection on it there, but as you see, and then it'll mount to the board with some isolation, because imagine this will get warm with what I'm going to put through it. I also got more resistor mounting for the smaller resistors like that. Not sure if this will go in that one, but could always trim it back. I got some nice terminal strips. There's 16 in each, so I thought that was pretty good. Only $1 each. And let's see, also today I found this. This was also only $1. I'll open it up for you here. We have an unbagging, not really an unboxing. I unboxed my digital meter, but yeah, so as you see, we have our banana plugs going out, and these are all hardwired to go to a single terminal, which is kind of funny. So if I ever find the need to have both two polarities and tie them both together, that's what's been done here. So this will act as a single conductor through both ports. They're both going to be at the same potential. It's a nice little bitey clamp. And then these $40 worth of this is the big thing I got here. $40 worth of parts and connectors. As you see, I got a bunch of these nice ceramic insulators. I got some, well, they're binding posts like this that'll take the banana plug, or just unscrew that and stuff a wire in. Well, if you're watching this, you probably know how these work. A couple of battery holders. Yeah, I just tried to stick with red and black, and someone else was selling the greens for grounds. Great big lugs here. As you see, this will be nice to really get a bite on a big old cable. Maybe like that monster cable I had. And then there's another port down here to even bind another thinner diameter cable there and pretty much form a splice, have it mechanically connected and all. Find some way to tie this down. Worst case I could use a zip tie, I reckon, after it's all tight. Just straight down there. I could just drill through. Yeah. So many insulators. I got these wires. These are like $1 each. Now things like this is going to be part of my Terry filter. And as you see, speaking of my Terry filter, that's another thing I've been gathering parts for. It is coming together, as you see. See, there is, these are the MOVs, these are the capacitors, and these are the 10 megohm resistors. The bottom still hasn't been soldered together yet, because I was still getting the parts needed for it. But, as a standard on a Terry filter, I'm going to have one gap in the middle, and then I get more of those ceramics. There's going to be one on either side, so it'll spark to the center ball once the voltage potential on either side reaches the breakdown point of air. I'll have to figure out that spacing and all. You know, that's half the fun. Oh, I also obtained the MMC capacitors. These are the one terminal, so I don't shock myself here. Okay, these are the 942 C20 P1K-F. So there's 0.1 microfarad at 2000 volts. So I'm going to have 13 of these in series, because for a 15,000 volt 30 milliamp transformer, this is what the geek group says should be just right, to get it at about 1.5 to 2 times the resonant frequency. And I have 13 total. Not all of them are in the bag, but I have enough to build my MMC. And yes, I have more 10 megohm resistors, as you saw on the board. Yeah, I did get 2 of these 600 ohmers for the same filter. This is the specification I'm using. I got it, see here, this is the DigiKey part list. Now, it does call for 1K ohm, but I think 600 ohms might get me by. Excuse me. Yeah, so you see what I mean here by you're pretty much looking at it like this, and this part here, this is going to be the center terminal. This is really just one spherical knob, will be at the top, or spheroid, and then there will be one on this leg coming off of this resistor. As you see, you can picture it, one leg on either side. Yeah, so they want 1K ohm, 1K ohm at 100 watt. What I got, which I think is what I'm going to go with at first, are these are 2 in series of these 500 ohm. So 2 in series will be giving me my 1K ohm. And yeah, these are rated for, as you see, 100 watt VK-100-NA. So yeah, this will give me the wattage, plus having 1K ohm spread out over the greater amount of surface area, I think will be beneficial to the heating issue, because it'll be spread out over 2 resistors on each leg in series. So I also picked up, yeah, I got 4 of those resistors, those Clarostat 500 ohms. only $2 a piece, which is a really good deal. I got some more nice wire. 12 gauge THNN solid core. It looks a little thin for 12 gauge to me, but there's a fair amount of it. And it is labeled right there, 12 gauge type THNN. So yeah, it is. So I get a fair bit of wire. Might use this for some of my connections. Rated for 600 volt, but I think I'll use it on the underside of the Terry filter maybe. I'm tempted to use stranded. I'll have to see what I got and go from there. See, I got a couple of L brackets. Nice, mount something in between there. Those are cheap. This little lamp. It has instructions. Oh, it's like a hood light. Turn light slowly from mercury switch to function. Mercury switch? I don't hear a mercury switch inside of there, but that'll be fun to play with. This is $1 for a little 12 volt fan. Maybe to, there we go, 12 volt DC fan. Might be good too. It's got really good bearings on it here. Look, the glide. It's pretty darn good. That'd be good to cool the spark gap in my Tesla coil. And I got this big honkin' old drill. This was $1 because it doesn't work. Well, it worked really loudly with an internal sparking for a few seconds, and I yanked the cord out, and now it doesn't work because it was $1. But the nice thing about this drill with the old chuck is it came with the key for it, see? So, and it actually turns. The only thing about this turning is I do not see movement inside there. I've never used one of these before either. It's probably needs some WD-40, maybe a vinegar bath to get the rust out. But yeah, I got that. That just looks pretty cool anyways. I got this little ant farm as well. It's labeled as ant farm, but it's also a really nice, clean, clear plexiglass thin case. It's quite lovely. Could even hold the liquid and be used for liquid density and the bending of light for some optical experiments. I did briefly think as a container for a propeller gap, you know, if you were to mount a motor through the, determine the center here, put the motor on the outside, put your propeller gap inside here, and then have your tungsten or contact points on either side, you could have a rotary spark gap. But I'm thinking this is probably just plexiglass, and with the heat that gets thrown off from blobs of metal from the Tesla coil duty, this would melt, and it's just not the right material for that purpose. So I'll keep this nice and not cut it up, and yeah, find a fun purpose for it. Again, it was only $1. And these two speakers were also only $1. See right there, I'm going to do a few acoustic experiments probably at some point. I easily can with those 8-ohm speakers. I got a spare microphone. This was actually 50 cents. It's a Motorola mic with a key. Here's your connector. You see the pins there. Yeah. So that's cool. And the find of the show, I think, was the $5 2-meter radio. Yeah, I'll show you the front. There we go. There's the key. It's a Yaesu. There's your mic. Here is the front. I'm going to have to Google all the directions for it. Had to set it for the frequencies, but it is mobile 12-volt car ready. There's your TX, SIMP, -600, +600 mem. I have an SWR meter for doing all that's matching. Fortunately, I know some ham radio guys locally, so maybe they can help me get set up. There's this tiny little fine print detail. I'll let you read that here. There we go, and on the back. Yeah, the power cord is going to need some repair. Look at that. That's going to need to be fixed. And that's probably what was $5. So there is the VHF FM transceiver number. And here's this number, this detail. Here's the antenna port. I do have an antenna for the car, ready to use. That's who it formerly belonged to. It looks like he engraved his own numbers into it. This is high, on, off, high, low. This looks like an additional microphone port possibly. And an SP probably for an internal car speaker, which probably wouldn't hurt for me to actually also get. I want to hear what people are saying on this thing. So yeah, that is my find of the Deerfield NEARfest in Deerfield, New Hampshire, as well as of the MIT Swapfest down in Cambridge, Massachusetts in October 2017. Now, for next season, the 2018 season here, so third Sunday, April through October, this is their schedule. April 15th, this is all 2018 now. Here we go, May 20th, June 17th. It goes April, May, June, July, August, September, and October 2018. But they really are doing a lot of construction. You can't even park on the same street unless you do parallel parking at the parking garages on Albany Street in Cambridge. So they're going to have updates at swapfest.us. I think also in April is usually when they have the first NEARfest, NEAR for Northeast Amateur Radio Fest up in Deerfield, New Hampshire at the fairgrounds. So thank you for watching, and have yourself a fine day.